What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. Big night of ball. Let's talk about it. Split out! What an incredible night of basketball in the association we have had so far. We've had some incredible basketball games. And it's really been an incredible start to the NBA season just in general. We've had incredible performances. We've had teams that we thought were going to be good suck. We've had teams that we thought were going to suck have been really good to start the year. And it's really been just a joy to watch because that's what's so great in sports, the parity and not coming into the season knowing what's going to happen. Now, tonight, I was able to focus on two games primarily. We saw the Atlanta Hawks go up against the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics lose in overtime to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, Cleveland sports are ruining my life, to be 100% honest with you. As a Cleveland Browns fan, for obvious reasons, they've ruined my life for many, many, many years. Just a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of heartbreak there. And then the Cavs are going to beat my Celtics in back-to-back, in two games in less than a week, in overtime. I'm going through it, guys, to be honest with you. So if you could lift my spirits and help me out with a subscribe, we're about to hit 500 subscribers, and you could be the one that helps me get there. So I would greatly appreciate it. But let's get into the games tonight because they were pretty entertaining to watch, both of these games, because the Knicks were up huge to start this game against the Atlanta Hawks. They were up in the second quarter, and at that point, I kind of thought it was going to be a blowout. The Hawks, on the back of Dejounte Murray, came storming back, and oh, what an addition Dejounte Murray has been for this squad so far. Now, the Hawks are 5-3 to start this season, and I hadn't got a chance to watch the Hawks until tonight. And, you know, whenever they play the Knicks and Trae Young plays the Knicks, you know it's going to be fireworks. That's must-watch television. So I was really looking forward to turning that on. But Dejounte Murray was really the person who stole the show tonight. And the thing that we've seen from the Knicks so far is that they've kind of been blowing leads. Now, to me, it is a good thing that you're able to get those leads, but holding on to them is equally as important. Tonight in the second half, they only scored 34 points, 10 points in the third quarter. That's just not going to get it done when you're trying to compete with some of these top teams in the Eastern Conference. And to me, the Hawks are a top 4 or 5 team in the East from what we've seen in the early season. There's a lot of teams that are really struggling that we thought might be good. Even the Sixers look really shaky. The Nets obviously look shaky. Raptors are so back and forth. They beat the Spurs by 43 tonight. So the Hawks are in a real position to compete in the Eastern Conference because you got the Bucks and the Cavs kind of as the two teams that are playing really well, and then maybe the Celtics, Hawks kind of in that next level there. Some nights good, some nights bad. So the Hawks are in a very interesting position. Now with this roster, it is a massive chemistry experiment. And when you're looking at the NBA this year, there's a couple of those. The reason that this was interesting is because last year, Trae Young and Dejounte Murray both averaged over 9 assists a game. So can you bring in two guys that both are facilitators, distributors? Are those guys going to be able to mesh and play off each other and still play at a high level and do what they do without feeling like they're stepping on each other's toes? And then in clutch situation, who's the ball handler? Trae's been someone who's known to take big shots and make big shots a lot of times. So with this squad, it was really going to be interesting to watch how they played together. So far, so good. You're 5-3. That's about where you'd want to be to start the season with these guys. Dejounte Murray tonight gave you 36 points, 9 assists, and 6 steals, and he was plus 26 in the minutes he played. You could tell how good Dejounte Murray is. And unfortunately, when guys play on poor teams, we don't get the opportunity to see them that often. And he's been on the Spurs for the last couple of years, so he's really been like, you know, no one turns on their league pass and watches a lot of Spurs games. That's just the reality of it if you're not a Spurs fan. And that's the same case that we kind of have with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who to start this year is averaging 30 points a game, playing like an MVP candidate. But he's playing on a bad squad, so you don't watch the Thunder all that much. And that's what we've seen with Dejounte Murray. So having the exposure and being in Atlanta, I think will be massive for his career, massive for the NBA world getting a chance to watch Dejounte Murray, especially with Trae Young. It's going to be awesome to watch. Now, a big part of the Atlanta Hawks, I think, this year is the development of DeAndre Hunter. He was drafted in the first round in the lottery a couple years ago. I think this is his third or fourth year in the league. And he was one of those high potential guys that you were like, if this guy can develop, he'll be a real 3-and-D kind of basketball player. He had 21 tonight. So if DeAndre Hunter can be that guy and Dejounte Murray and Trae Young play like they're capable, and you have John Collins, Clint Capella, this is a squad. It's a real squad, and any team with Frank Kaminsky on the squad probably going to win a championship. It's just the reality of it. Frank Kaminsky, he changes lives. But let's move on to the Knicks briefly, because they just keep blowing these leads. And to be honest, I can't really decipher what's going on yet in the third and fourth quarter here. I just don't like this roster all that much, to be 100% honest with you. I am someone who's very anti giving guys max contracts or large contracts just because you feel like you have to. And when you've given large contracts to Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and I like these guys. I like Jalen Brunson too, but like your big three are those guys when you're going up against Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday, or Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, and then, in Boston, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart. I just don't know the thought process in building your roster where those are your three main guys. And Evan Fournier was terrible tonight. And then they have Mitchell Robinson in their starting lineup. But I just don't know what I'm seeing from the Knicks. I'm just not all the way in on them, to be honest with you. I don't know. Something's got to change. Cam Reddish didn't give you what you wanted. As far as the Knicks go, they're going to be stuck middle of the pack team this year, to be honest. It would be somewhere around the 7 to 10 seed, probably in the play-in tournament. That's what I'd imagine from the Knicks. We'll see what happens. They might make a trade. But let's move on to this other game, because this was another incredible basketball game. If we could watch the Cavs and Celtics play basketball 82 times this year, sign me up, because it's been incredible both times. And we've seen some awesome performances from the stars. Donovan Mitchell, the other night, Karis LeVert played his butt off. And tonight, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland played incredible for the Cavaliers. Now, this was the first real game of the season for Darius Garland coming off of his eye injury, and he came out firing. Now, one of the things that I talked about in my last video about the Cavs was how much they struggled in late game situations last year. They had a losing record in late game situations. This year, if you watch the end of that game, the final few minutes and then the final few minutes of the fourth quarter, Donovan Mitchell was unbelievable at shot making. His shot making in big clutch situations is unbelievable, and that's such a valuable asset when you're talking about these late game situations in the regular season, and even more so in the playoffs. It becomes very ISO heavy. That's why guys like Michael Jordan became so valuable in big moments. And when you watch the Bucks, Chris Middleton becomes more valuable in big moments because you need someone who will ISO, able to get a tough bucket. And Donovan Mitchell's one of those guys. So when you're looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers, the addition of Donovan Mitchell, and this is another one of those that's kind of a chemistry experiment, but Mitchell and Garland playing together, can they go back and forth? Can they play off of each other? We saw Garland throw an awesome lob to Donovan Mitchell tonight. That squad's incredible. This Cavs team, I'm telling you, I really, really like this Cavs team. So they said tonight that and I forget who it was on TV, said that they thought that they had the best starting five in the NBA. And I was kind of going through some of the other ones. Obviously, the Bucks is really good. Celtics is good. Sixers is really good. And then the Warriors is good over there in the West. But it's a heck of a starting five. And then you bring in Kevin Love. You'll have Ricky Rubio later in the season off the bench. So this Cavs team is going to be a real problem. It's going to be a team that is standing near the end of the season. If you're talking about a playoff series, and you made me put money down on the 4 teams standing at the end of the year. Bucks, Celtics, Cavs are probably your 3, and then we can debate about the 4th, whether the Sixers get it together, the Hawks end up looking better. But let's move on quickly to the Boston Celtics before we hop off of here tonight, because I don't love what I'm seeing from Boston so far. And I know that losing to the Cavs twice, there's not a lot of shame in that. And then they lost to the Bulls, I think was their other loss. But they shot pretty inefficient tonight. 26% from 3, 41% from the field. Tatum and Brown both shot pretty poorly overall. Defensively, they look so shaky, and I can't really put my finger on what's different than last year. Now, not having Rob Williams is certainly affecting them, but one of the things that a lot of people talk about is when you have made the NBA Finals, it's hard to get up for regular season games sometimes and play with that same sense of urgency that you did in the playoffs, because you're kind of just hoping to get to the playoffs to get another crack at a championship. And it almost seems like maybe the Celtics aren't playing with the same level of urgency that they did last year. And I hope that that's not the case, but defensively, they just don't look as good. And when Robert Williams comes back, that'll be a big part of it. But I have legitimate concerns about the coaching change. Joe Mazzulla coming in and filling in for Ime Udoka. The thing that he had this team playing so hard, and the scheme was so important, because one of the things you'll hear me say, and one of the things I have said, is that to me, defense equals coaching. I think if a coach emphasizes defense and puts a priority on it, then I think you'll see that in the reflection of the players. And defense is like 75% about effort and playing hard. And so with this team struggling this year, you have guys that are capable of playing defense. Smart, Tatum, Brown, Horford, Grant Williams, Brogdon. All these guys are capable of playing good defense. It's just not really clicking yet. So we'll see how that develops as the season goes along. But I'm a little nervous, honestly, as a Celtics fan, because I don't know. Last year, to me, was fluky. And, you don't want to admit it, but Chris Middleton being out and Jimmy Butler being hurt in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Nets just being a mess, you maybe got a little lucky. And obviously in the NBA, you do get lucky sometimes. But that just means that this year, when you added Malcolm Brogdon, I thought maybe that was going to be the piece that took them over the top to make them a contender again. And I just, watching them so far, I just don't see contender quite yet. And that's hard for me to say as a Celtics fan. And I hope I'm wrong, because obviously it's early in the season. The Warriors have looked like they've struggled too. So we'll see if these teams get themselves together. But another incredible night of NBA basketball. And we're going to continue to have so much more to talk about. Appreciate y'all watching Cyborg Out.